Hello MotoGP enthusiasts. Welcome back to ZNGP Today. The 2027 rider market is reshaping MotoGP. Factory lineups are taking near final form, regulation changes and supplier shifts are accelerating decisions, and a single signing is triggering a cascade of moves across factories and satellite teams. The proposed grid mixes headline transfers with strategic gambles, and leaves several established names scrambling for options. Ducati's MotoGP pathway appears locked for 2027, leading Nicolò Bulega to seek alternatives as his Superbike success collides with a saturated factory market. With Borgo Panigale seats reportedly set and satellite options shifting after Ai Ogura's move to Yamaha, Bulega's best route back to MotoGP may now run through Aprilia's Trackhouse outfit, a move shaped as much by tyre knowledge and 850 cubic centimeters development experience as by pure results. Ducati has put its 2027 prototype on track at Misano, running in 850 cubic centimeters Ai GP27 in an early shakedown. The session, led by veteran test rider Michel Pirot, focused on baseline checks with reduced aerodynamics and no height-adjustable devices, while Pirelli attended with initial compound samples for the new era. Jorge Martin describes a full-scale personal and professional recovery after his serious Qatar crash. He returns not only healed but matured, crediting family support and a recalibrated approach to risk for a renewed enjoyment of racing and a sharper, more measured riding style. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Borgo Panigale appears to be building a headline pairing. Marc Marquez retained as the factory leader with Pedro Acosta joining to form a high-profile 1+1 partnership. The move balances proven championship experience with a generational talent, signaling Ducati's intent to dominate both now and into the 850cc era. Pairing a veteran champion with a young star is a classic factory play. It secures immediate results while grooming a successor and concentrating development feedback across two contrasting riding styles. The biggest shock is Pecco Bagnaia reportedly moving to Aprilia to join Marco Bezzecchi. That transfer would swap intra-team dynamics for a fresh hierarchy where Bezzecchi is the established leader and Bagnaia must adapt to a new environment and bike philosophy. Yamaha's factory project is recast around Jorge Martin and the reported signing of Ai Ogura, creating a blend of proven pace and rising talent. The pairing aims to stabilize Yamaha's recovery while positioning the factory for the 850cc transition. Fabio Quartararo's move to Honda and David Alonso's arrival at HRC further underline the market's youth tilt. Satellite teams are the market's pressure points. VR46, Pramac, Gresini, Trackhouse and Tech3 are all adjusting lineups. Di Giannantonio and Fermin Aldeguer at VR46. Toprak Razgatlioglu and Jack Miller likely at Pramac. Holgado to Gresini with Bastianini linked. Trackhouse hunting a top replacement after Ogura. Tech3 possibly switching to Honda to accommodate Luca Marini. These moves compress the remaining seats and force late bargains. When factory seats are mostly settled, satellite teams become the decisive market makers. Their choices create winners and leave capable riders unexpectedly exposed. The domino effect leaves several riders in precarious positions. Luca Marini is pushed back into a thinning market. Alex Rins faces an uncertain future after a difficult season on Yamaha. Raul Fernandez's place at Trackhouse depends on how the team reshuffles. Experience is valuable, but teams are increasingly prioritizing youth and long-term upside. A crowded market with regulation change on the horizon favors riders who combine immediate pace with perceived future value. If these moves crystallize, 2027 will be defined by bold factory pairings and a satellite market that decides who remains in MotoGP. Ducati's Marquez Acosta dream and Yamaha's Martin Ogura pairing would be strategic statements. Immediate firepower plus developmental upside. For riders squeezed out, the options will be limited and timing will matter more than ever. Expect a final flurry of confirmations around Jerez as teams lock down the last pieces, and the grid prepares for a season shaped as much by contracts as by technical change. Ducati's factory lineup is said to be finalized around Marc Marquez and Pedro Acosta, while Gresini prioritizes Enea Bastianini's return. That leaves little room for Bulega despite his Superbike dominance, effectively closing the most direct path back to a Desmercedes seat. When a factory locks its headline pairings early, talented outsiders must pivot quickly to satellite or rival factory options to stay in contention. Ogura's reported departure to Yamaha created a vacancy at Aprilia Trackhouse, and Bulega emerges as a logical candidate. The Noali satellite needs a high-level rider who can both score results and contribute to development, qualities Bulega has shown in World SBK. Satellite teams increasingly act as strategic bridges for riders returning from other series. They offer visibility and a platform to demonstrate MotoGP readiness. Bulega's experience with Pirelli tires and World SBK is a bargaining chip. With Pirelli set to replace Michelin in MotoGP for 2027, teams value riders who understand the Italian supplier's behavior and can accelerate tire-specific development. Bulega's ongoing work on the 850cc Desmercedes also gives him technical currency that could transfer to a rival program. Supplier familiarity and direct development experience can outweigh a lack of recent MotoGP seat time when teams plan for a regulation reset. Bulega faces competition for the Trackhouse slot. Joan Mir is an attractive option given past success with Davide Brivio, and Enea Bastianini could also surface depending on Gresini's final decisions. Trackhouse choice will balance immediate results, development input, and commercial fit. When multiple credible candidates exist, teams prioritize the mix of pace, technical feedback, and long-term fit with manufacturer plans. Bulega's stated priority remains a return to Ducati, but he is pragmatic about alternatives. With the market accelerating and decisions expected soon, timing is critical. A swift agreement with a satellite like Trackhouse would secure a MotoGP pathway and keep his momentum from Superbikes relevant. For riders dominating another championship, seizing a timely MotoGP opening is often the difference between a smooth transition and an extended wait. Bulega's Superbike form makes him an attractive MotoGP candidate, but factory bottlenecks and a fast-moving market mean his options are narrowing. Aprilia Trackhouse currently offers the clearest route back, bolstered by Bulega's Pirelli experience and 850cc development work. If he secures that seat, he can translate Superbike momentum into a credible MotoGP return. If not, he may need to wait for late reshuffles or accept a longer path back to the Premier class. Ducati used a private event for its Panigale V2 customers to quietly run the GP27. Pirro completed the initial laps to validate packaging, cooling, and basic rideability rather than chase performance benchmarks. The emphasis was on establishing a stable starting point for development rather than extracting lap times. Early shakedowns are about proving concepts and gathering usable data. They rarely reflect a machine's final potential. The GP27 conforms to the new regulatory direction, simplified aerodynamics, and the removal of ride height devices. That forces engineers to rethink chassis balance and mechanical grip, shifting the development focus from active aero aids to suspension, geometry, and tire interaction. Losing adjustable aero hardware changes the engineering trade-offs. Teams must find mechanical solutions to deliver stability and corner exit drive. Pirelli attended the test with prototype compounds and technical staff, giving Ducati a chance to sample tire behavior under MotoGP-like loads. With Pirelli replacing Michelin in 2027, these early data points are valuable for tire-dependent setup choices and for aligning chassis development with the supplier's operating window. Manufacturer and tire supplier working together early reduces the risk of late surprises when the new rubber arrives in full race trim. Ducati plans a more intensive development phase led by Nicolò Bulega, who will conduct the first full tests later in April or early May. Bulega's Superbike experience and ongoing involvement with the 850cc Desmosedi make him a logical choice to accelerate validation and provide high-value feedback. Choosing a rider with recent Pirelli experience and active development work shortens the learning curve for a new prototype. Ducati joins KTM, Honda and Yamaha among manufacturers that have already run 850cc prototypes. Aprilia remains the notable exception. That gap matters because Aprilia's early dominance this season and its lack of Pirelli race experience could influence how quickly it adapts to the new supplier and rules. Early testing gives a head start, but the real advantage will go to the team that best integrates tire data with chassis and aero choices. Ducati's Misano shakedown is a pragmatic first step toward the 2027 transition. Establish a reliable baseline, gather Pirelli-aligned tire data, and hand the project to a development rider who can push the program forward. The GP27's simplified aero and absence of height devices will force mechanical and tire-centric solutions. Teams that convert early tests into focused iterations will lead the opening phase of the new era. Expect a rapid sequence of tests and refinements over the coming weeks as Ducati and rivals race to define the 850cc benchmark. Martin's return from a major 2025 injury is framed as a long, painful process that culminated in a powerful emotional and sporting rebound. After more than 500 days away from top form, he claimed a sprint win in Austin and re-established himself as a championship contender. "I've rediscovered the meaning of being able to enjoy my sport." High-profile recoveries often combine medical progress with psychological rebuilding. Martin's results suggest both elements have aligned. Martin and his family recount the ordeal in stark terms: a year of emotional, physical, and spiritual hardship. His mother and partner emerge as central figures in his rehabilitation, providing steady support that allowed him to focus on healing and return to racing. Strong personal networks frequently determine how effectively athletes navigate long recoveries. Martin's family played a decisive role in his comeback. The emotional landscape shifted for those close to Martin. His partner admits fear remains but has evolved. She now fears a life without his racing more than the risks of him getting back on the bike. That tension, pride mixed with anxiety, underscores the human cost behind elite performance. Public comebacks carry dual pressures: the athlete's internal drive to compete and the loved one's legitimate concerns about safety. Martin insists the accident changed his approach on track. He describes a move from instinctive aggression to a more experience-driven style, choosing when to push and when to manage risk, which he believes has made him faster and more consistent. "I'm the same as always on a personal level, but I'm definitely a better driver than I was before." Maturity that improves decision-making can produce better long-term results than raw aggression. Martin's language suggests a sustainable performance upgrade. Martin's regained form injects Aprilia and the championship with renewed intensity. His sprint win and consistent pace signal that he can again influence title dynamics, while his evolved mindset may reduce crash risk and improve racecraft over a full season. A rider who combines speed with smarter risk management becomes harder to beat across a championship, not just in isolated races. Jorge Martin's story is both personal and competitive, a successful recovery that appears to have produced a more complete rider. If he sustains this blend of confidence and caution, Martin can remain a front-running force and a stabilizing presence for Aprilia. His comeback also serves as a reminder that resilience and support structures are as crucial as raw talent in elite motorsport. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!